ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Digital Forge Broadcasting Network this Monday night. The Short Track National Showdown Street Stock Series back in action here at one of the trickiest short tracks you're going to find out there, Concord. But we are going to go playing in the national anthem. When we come back, we'll have some race action heading your way. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to the Digital Forge Broadcasting Network this Monday night. The Street Stock Series and the Short Track National Showdown League back in action here at Concord. Joining me in the booth tonight, Marshall Gable, talking a little bit about some of the great racing ahead. We got 100 laps coming at you tonight, and this is one of the trickiest tracks we're going to find out there on, well, not necessarily sim racing, but in the world. They would talk about Concord being a little bit like a mini Pocono, if you will. Some of the tricky corners they got that turn number 5 was one of the trickiest ones you're going to find out there here tonight. And this 4/10 of a mile track, talking a little bit about the weather information that we got out there. 65 degrees, 0% humidity, a little bit of overcast, 70 degrees in the air. So it's going to be some great racing coming your way. Marshall, talking a little bit about tonight. What do you think we're going to see out here?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of good hard racing, that's for sure. But the hardest thing here about the Concord Speedway is it almost seems like you're not just turning on that entry, but you also have to turn very hard coming off the corner. So it'll be interesting to see where people try to set up their pass, if they're going to look towards the entrance of the corner to make their moves, or if they're going to try to hit it on the exit. But I think we're in for a great 100 laps. Definitely look forward to it here at Concord. It's still looking at it, it's about ready to go racing as the qualifying session looks like it has come to a close. Thomas Axon, by the way, we just saw out there on the track, one of the drivers leading this series in points, while Blake Barney just one position behind him in second. Ryan Lane, Kalen Muller, and D.W. Jones rounding out your top 5, who's also in a 3-way tie with Michael Rafferty and Wesley Utt. So we'll have to see how things will play out here tonight, as it looks like the drivers are now starting to make their way to the grid. And we'll take a look. Let's take a look at that gridding action here tonight. On your pole, it looks like it's going to be Blake Barney, the number 14 car, with Thomas Axon, so your top 2 in points.
will be battling in that front row. Wesley Utt, Kalen Moeller, two other guys in the top 5 in points back there in that second row. Looking back to the inside lane of that third row, the number 11 of Dan LaFoe will be to the inside of the 55 of Cole Eastman. That'll round out your front 6. In the fourth row, we have that number 73 of Jeremy Crandall, who's to the inside of the 77 of Ryan Lang. D.W. Jones starts back in 9th on the inside of the 5th row in the number 17 car. He'll be to the inside of the number 38 of Mark LaRoche. Rounding out your field tonight, we have the number 51 back at 11th, I should say, is George Bark to the inside of the number 1 of Stephen Harrison. And Skip Lynn, Teddy Groh, possibly going to be joining us on the field. Normally find these guys up in the race control booth and might see that 91 car of Matthew Hampton, not sure. But that is what it's going to look like here tonight on the field. A lot of side-by-side racing action. Marshall coming our way. If you were up there, take us through this real quick here. If you were up in the series points, starting to the outside of one of the guys that you're battling with, number 1 versus number 2, up there in that front row, what would be going through your mind?
Well, I think certainly going through both their minds has to be, yes, a championship is on the line, money's on the line. There's a lot of things that go into this, but I think both have such similar cars, and I think they both really know each other's driving style, having raced around each other for the past few weeks. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they manage balancing racing hard and racing each other, but knowing that, yes, if I can get out of here with a second place finish or a win, then that would be great going into the remainder of these next few races.
Well, one of the neat things here in the series, when you do win, you start at the back of the field, and it looks like Thomas Axum will be up there up front to the outside. Looks like it's going to be the 45 car of Wesley Utt will be in that front row. We got one more lap of pacing here as the pace car brings him through that tricky tricky turn number 5 here. And it's one of the crazy things. You're going to see a lot of guys start to push up high into that wall. It kind of reaches out and grabs you. We'll have to see how this is going to play out as these laps progress. We're only scheduled originally for 80. They went ahead and tacked on an extra 20, so it's definitely going to be an interesting dynamic to say the least. As we take a look now, the pace car ready to go into pits this time by. There it goes. And they now start to work their way towards it. The flagman ready to give the signal as they come out of turn number 5.
Green, green, green.
There's the green flag, and we are off to the race here at Concord. And already you can see Thomas Axum getting a nice sizable lead. He was to the outside line, dominantly moving to the inside line to get around the 45 of Wesley Utt. Some 3-wide action out of turn number 2 as these guys are already battling really hard. And if you're back there taking a look, coming out of turn number 5, we're seeing some push out of D.W. Jones, the Batmobile, and now we start to see some single file lines. So if you're one of the guys back there, Marshall, in let's say 3rd, 4th position, as we see the 14 of Blake Barney, who's now making his way to the inside of the 55 of Cole Eastman, what are you going to do? He looks like he's a little loose coming out of that 5th turn.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't look too comfortable there, but I think that's just because he's trying to make up all these positions. Already passed, I believe, 5, working on now 6 cars. Blake Barney, winner of last week's race, had to start from the rear, and he's already making headway so far. But out front, as we got a spinner on the front straight.
All right, man, caution is out. Caution is out.
And it looks like Kalen Moeller in the 84 machine, a nice rainbow-colored machine, is going to go for a little bit of a spin. So as we reel up the replay camera here, let's take a quick look and capture the moment in action. So as we follow Kalen Moeller coming out of the 5th turn in the front stretch, he's going to probably, what it looks like to me is he's going to make some contact with that wall. Not necessarily look like it's going to be driver contact, but as we follow him here into the 3rd and 4th turn, right behind Wesley Utt, into the front stretch, he's going to get really loose, which is, we saw that happen with Blake Barney. So he gets loose, makes some contact with the inside wall, and it's just a simple spin out. Just what do you think the key there is coming out of that 5th turn?
Well, I think you certainly have to manage between, yes, keeping control of the car, but you also can't have too much control because that wall will come up when you're quite quick. I think with seeing so many drivers loose there, such as Blake Barney, and then seeing a driver spin around, I think a lot of drivers might come down pit road here as we see Jeremy Crandall head in there. I think that maybe a tire pressure adjustment or potentially something along those lines to maybe help tighten these cars up a little bit could possibly be the key to especially a long-run strategy. But it'll be interesting to see because it looked like a lot of cars were loose on that first run there.
Definitely seeing that, especially early on within the first 10 laps. We have a yellow flag, so a lot of these drivers still have a lot of time to make up. So early adjustments coming down pit road as we saw Jeremy Crandall and a couple other drivers. I believe that was Mark LaRoche possibly coming down pit road, like you said, to make some adjustments to see if they could be out before the pace car makes it back around. So we'll have to see when things get back around. So as we take a look, Thomas Axum now coming in the front stretch. Pace car makes its way in. We still got about one more lap of pacing. Have you had the chance to race at this track before?
Yeah, I actually got out there a little bit earlier today and was running some practice laps, and I couldn't get as fast as Thomas and those guys were, but it was certainly interesting to see the dynamics of this track, and really I think the hardest thing was coming up off turn one, really setup wise, was trying to get that car to really hook to the inside there in like that second corner, and then of course keeping the car keeping it controlled coming out of that final corner down the front straightaway, because that really sets the momentum. Is if you can get off that final corner good and get down to turn one with a bunch of speed, it really can change just the overall entire lap for a driver.
We'll have to see what these drivers' adjustments maybe mentally and both on the car as the lights have come off that Mustang iRacing pace car as it makes its way into the third turn. Ready to take these guys back green on lap number 10 as the pace car looks to head into the pits. Thomas Axum will be to the inside of Wesley Utt as they now make their way to that treacherous fifth turn here at Concord. Flagman ready to give the signal.
Green flag,
And the green flag flies. We're back to the race on lap number 10.
Watch out for that third guy in line on the inside. Blake Barney from the rear already working for second now on Don LaFoe.
And looks like there's going to be some contact with 11 of LaFoe into the wall, which opens that doorway to the inside for Blake Barney now as they come across the start-finish line into lap number 11. Just about 1.5 car lengths off of Thomas Axum. And it looks like somebody has spun out right there in turn number 1. Who do we got?
Mark LaRoche is going around in his number 38 machine.
And he starts to limp the car through the backstretch into the third and fourth turn. As we see, he's going to come down pit road as he makes it safely off the track. Thomas Axum's coming around pit road now. And he's extended the gap between him and Blake Barney just about. Looks like a half a second as they were coming out of turn number 5, now across the start-finish line into turn number 1. And LaFoe now begins the fight off the 45 of Wesley Utt.
Thomas Axum looks extremely strong in his number 13 machine. These are our two championship contenders, so obviously a lot's going on here as they came into this event tied and now running 1-2. So Axum with a little bit of the advantage so far in the early going.
And take a look at the side-by-side action there, as looks like Ryan Lang and D.W. Jones are going at it behind Wesley Utt. But Wesley Utt, oh, he's going to turn LaFoe
All right, man, caution is out.
right
Caution
there
is
at
out.
turn number 5. And Wesley Utt actually running a different sponsor here tonight. Typically would find the Mountain Dew machine on that, or Mountain Dew sponsor on that 45 machine. But unfortunately tonight he's running Jags. Let's go back and take a look at that replay yet again. As Wesley Utt was right there to the inside of Dan LaFoe, and it looks like it's just going to be some short track attempt at bump and running. Not going to happen, as we were privy to be right there live as this happened. And some good hard racing as the 45 we see here is going to look to the inside. And as they head into turn number 5, it's just going to be a matter of getting down, and LaFoe just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, comes down right on the nose of the 45 of Wesley Utt. Wesley Utt turns that 11 car as they look to head through that turn number 5. And it's one of the, talking about this Marshall, it's one of the typical short track gripes between drivers as who's going to get to a line first, who's going to have that line. And in your experience, what is it, the low guy or the high guy? Which guy is usually right?
Well, I don't know if it's ever a matter of being right. I think in that situation right there, it was just a matter of the 45 of Wesley out just misjudged a little bit. I think he was going for that bump and run, like you said. Just got up into the quarter panel there and spun him around. But I think that always it's very tough being on that high side because you have to make sure coming off the corner, especially not to get hooked in I guess, the left rear. But it's even more important for the bottom car to keep on the brakes, keep the car rotated. That way they're not getting up into the side of someone and causing contact for not only the other car, but it can potentially be for themselves. Luckily there, Wesley, I was able to avoid without too much contact. The other guy, he not too much. He got spun around and is obviously going to have to start at the rear of this field.
Actually, yeah, Wesley, so by race control, causing that caution, the 45 gets relegated to the back of the field, where he'll be in front of the 38 of Mark LaRoche, who's actually a couple laps down here and heading into lap number 19. LaFoe actually looks like he's going to be starting on that outside row as the lights have come off that pace car. He'll be to the outside of Thomas Axum. One of the things, you cause it, you got to deal with it, you play, you pay. As the pace car heads into the pits, we're going to be back green here on lap number 20. Thomas Axum to the inside, setting that pace out of the fifth turn. Here we go.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag flies. We're back to the race on lap number 20. And take a look at LaFoe. He is going to be to the outside of Thomas Axum, hanging on to that outside groove. You can hear those tires screaming for grip. And look at Blake Barney. Oh, wow. Blake Barney's going to shoot that apron. And I tell you what, he doesn't need, you give him enough track, he's going to find room even off the track.
All right, man, caution is out. Caution is
Yeah, he
out.
certainly was wasting no time there at all. I just believe we have a caution here on the Speedway.
And it looks like race control, not seeing anybody spinning out, but I believe race control is going to go ahead and throw a manual caution here in the sense that all these guys were racing pretty hard, especially Blake Barney, very aggressive driving from the 14th car as he was trying to get his way back to the front. I believe he went down pit road and made some adjustments. Coming back out, he was a little bit down. He wants to get back up towards Thomas Axum, and wow, take a look at Blake Barney now here, as it looks like race control must have saw something they didn't like out of him, because it looks like he's going to the back of the field.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to have to come from that back a couple times. I think he really, I don't know how the tire wear off here is at Concord Speedway, but it seems like a couple laps and everyone's times usually start to even out. So, he probably came down, got some fresh tires on his street stock and was trying to make the most of them there and got caught in a 3-wide situation. And I think he was just trying to get back up to Thomas Axum and be able to use those fresh Goodyear tires, but not going to work out for him as race control didn't necessarily like the aggressiveness there.
Yeah, and got some issues as he's slowing down there right before turn number 5, so not exactly sure. Waiting for the other drivers to get around, but I believe the official word from race control, the extent of aggressive driving was not safe there on the field. So they went ahead and gave him a warning, and due to the extent of the warning, we'll be relegated to the back of the field when we head back green.
I sat in with the drivers' meeting before this race got going, and it seemed like race control was really stressing the fact that they wanted to get some clean racing going here. They wanted to have good competitive competition throughout the field, and I think this is them sort of showing a little bit of their muscle and their control and letting the drivers know that aggressive driving isn't going to be tolerated.
And definitely sending a message early on as we're just now about to be quarter lap through the race here on lap number 25. When they get by that start-finish line, the lights should be coming off that pace car. Should be back green on lap number 27. And if you're Thomas Axum at this point, trying to hang on as we take a look, trying to pull up the points here as we take a look, really the point between Barney and Axum are so close that these guys, they're going to be driving. I mean, Thomas Axum has gotten a lot better with his aggressive driving. when you put him around a guy that's contending in points, that's going to be interesting to see how that'll play out. As we see, the pace car's lights have come off as they head into turn number 3. And LaFoe still to the outside of Thomas Axum. There goes the pace car in the pits. Into the 5th turn they go. Thomas Axum once again setting that pace.
Green flag,
There's the green flag. We're back to the race on lap number 27. And look at that side-by-side action here in the first couple of turns. Thomas Axum trying to edge out that 11 car. He's going to do it. LaFoe's looking to the inside. And look at that nice little side-by-side battle between Moeller and Lang behind him. As we take a look into the backstretch, it looks like Kalen Moeller back from the graveyard as he's in 3rd position now.
All right, man, caution is out.
Oh,
Caution
look
is
at that
out.
nice little pile up back there. Looks like it's going to be D.W. Jones and Blake Barney.
Barney just got into his quarter panel, I think, there.
And Barney definitely experiencing some early to mid-race frustrations here. Trying to get back through, got the slap on the wrist, relegated to the back of the field. And I think it's just a little bit of frustration here with this 14 car. Trying to get his way back up front, but the yellow flag comes out yet again. So as they make their way by the front stretch, we see Thomas Axum coming across the start-finish line. Let's take a look at your top 5. This is what it looks like here, folks. Thomas Axum, Dan LaFoe, Kalen Moeller, Ryan Lang, and Wesley Udd are your top 5 drivers here in lap number 30. Summary statistics on the screen. No lead changes so far in this race. Thomas Axum from green to current up there in the lead. We've had a total of 4 cautions here in the first 29 laps. Looks like it's been an easy night so far for this 13 car, the Tom Axum Trucking sponsored. They call this car the mac and cheese box as he's got the yellow and blue, kind of like Kraft macaroni and cheese. You see that car as it comes across the start-finish line. And if, you know, Dan LaFoe, don't take any away from this guy. He's currently, as we look at the points, currently in the top 10 in points, so he's to the outside of Thomas Axum going back green unless they're going to go to a single file restart.
Also, keep in mind, one of the drivers not here tonight entered this race 6 in points, only 21 markers behind Axum and Barney at top of the standings. Michael Rafferty, he's not present here tonight, so could be a big day for someone such as Dan LaFoe, who was 10th in points entering this race, just 36 markers behind the leader. So a runner-up finish or a podium result for him could certainly benefit him drastically in the standings.
Yeah, and talking about Rafferty, he's another one of these drivers out there that definitely likes to go for it all, and that 41 car really a good contender out there. Again, coming in tonight was in a 3-way tie with Wesley Utt and D.W. Jones. Both Utt and Jones have made it here to the track. Rafferty not here tonight, so he's going to fall back, and we'll see if D.W. Jones and Wesley Utt can get up above at least Kalen Moeller. Kalen Moeller in 4th in points, as we now start to see still on double file restarts, which is beneficial for some of these drivers trying to get to the front, i.e. Blake Barney. And single file restarts at a short track can make things really tough, especially back under the green flag. As the pace car heads into the pits, Thomas Axum still to the inside of Dan LaFoe. Kayla Moeller, Ryan Lang rounding out your front 4 as they make their way into that 5th turn, back green on lap number 34.
Green flag, green flag.
And the green flag's out. We are back racing. And Thomas Axum wastes no time, but take a look at Kayla Moeller to the inside of Dan LaFoe as they come out of turn number 2.
Kalen Moeller trying to use that bottom side, trying to get past Dan LaFoe. LaFoe trying to utilize that high side. It's just so hard to make something happen on that high side.
And Moeller now to the inside.
All right,
and
man,
we got some
out.
cars
Caution is
just trashed on the front stretch. And it looks like Wesley Udd is going to do the age-old turtle. That's the tires up in the air on the roof. Wow, let's go back. We're going to have to go back and take a look at the replay on this.
I believe that was just a case of so many cars getting loose there out of that final corner.
Looks like here is the restart. We're going to follow the 45 with Wesley Udd. And so what's going to happen is Wesley Udd, yet again, for the second time tonight, has got a driver loose. He gets the 77 of Ryan Lang loose in the midpoint of turn number 5. Lang's able to hold on to it, but in doing so, he's going to come up and tag Cole Eastman. Cole Eastman's going to return the contact there to Udd as they come across the start-finish line. And unfortunately, two cars, D.W. Jones, Cole Eastman, are going to turn that 45 car right there in the front stretch, and he's going to take a ride on his roof all the way into turn number 1. And D.W. Jones is going to get tagged. Looks like by the 73 of Jeremy Crandall as well, gets turned sideways in turn number 1. Cole Eastman's going to go up into the wall. Crandall will have some additional contact there with Eastman as they work their way out of turn number 1. So just some good hard racing. Unfortunate event there for the 45. I believe he does got a repair possibly as we see him still down on pit road. And it's just been a tough night there for the 45 car being sent back to the back, causing that incident with LaFoe earlier. Now gets sent down pit road due to damages. He is revving that engine. We hear it popping in gear, so it is possibly we're going to see the 45 back out on the track as some of the cars come down pit road. And if you're Thomas Axum, do you go down pit road at this point, 39 laps into it, or do you stay out for a little longer?
Well, while we might be 39 laps into this event, keep in mind, I believe 5 or 6 cautions now, so it hasn't been too much green flag racing, so the tires probably fairly still cool, haven't been heated up too much. Plus, I feel like track position has been beneficial so far. Everyone who's really got shuffled to that back, whether it be Blake Barney or Wesley Udd, has tried to make their way through the field, and it just sort of hasn't been the easiest, getting caught up in a couple incidents. So I think it's best to just stay out and keep that lead for right now. Maybe if we get a long green flag stretch here and a caution later, it could benefit him to pit. But if everything's going good right now, I don't see any reason to change it for that team.
And it's going to be the 84 of Kalen Muller starting to the outside of Thomas Axum as they're in the backstretch, ready to go green as the lights have come off the Mustang iRacing pace car. LaFoe will be to the inside of the 77 of Ryan Lang. And give it up for Ryan Lang trying to save that car through the front stretch. Was able to do so as 45 of Wesley Udd got him sideways. Into the 5th turn they go. Thomas Axum setting the pace.
Green flag, green
and the
flag.
green flag flies. We're back to the race on lap 41.
Again, as if all the restarts have been this way, Thomas Axum right out front.
He seems to find his way just enough to get out there in that line ahead of the other drivers. Pretty much leaving who's ever on that outside line as we see a lot of looseness out of Kalen Muller as he came out of that 5th turn. But Thomas Axum seems like his car's dialed in really well. Let's take a look real quick here and see him make his way into the 5th turn and see if he gets a little bit loose here coming out of turn number 5. He does slow it down really well. He's getting around that 5th turn, and it shows. That's why he is in the lead. But take a look back in 3rd position. Blake Barney, once again, back from the back of the field, all the way into 3rd position. Now behind Kalen Muller as they're heading into turn number 5, and you can see the eagerness out of this 14 car.
Yeah, and I think we saw a little bit faster pace there by Thomas Axum. I think he looked back in that rear view and saw Blake Barney coming and stepped on the gas a little bit there.
Definitely a nice little rivalry, a friendly rivalry between these two drivers. And talk about two drivers rivaling it out here in turn number 5. Ryan Lang, the 77 to the inside of 11 of Dan LaFoe as they come across the start-finish line, battling hard side by side, still continuing into the backstretch. Blake Barney now looks to climb up to Caleb Muller's bumper here into turn number 5 of lap number 45. Looks to the inside. Will he have it? Side by side across the start-finish line, and now the 14 car battling hard for that 2nd position slot. Kalen Muller to the outside has the preferred line at the moment, drives him down nearly to the apron. Look at this battle, Marshall. Give us your thoughts on what you're seeing here.
Well, I think it's just a case of Blake Barney having a little bit of a stronger car there, just powering past him on the bottom. I think that Kalen Muller got himself a little bit out of shape. I believe a few laps ago got in that outside wall in the first 2 corners there, and you see Blake Barney able to slide by, and now he gets to set his sights on Thomas Axum Axum has certainly extended that lead, and now we get to see if Blake Barney can run him down.
And he definitely has the open
All right,
track
man,
to do so,
caution is out.
but it won't be necessary. As the yellow flag flies, they're going to get bunched up, and Barney is going to get the distance he needs. And this one looks like it's going to come from the 55 of Cole Eastman. We'll have to go back and take a look, folks, to capture that. Looks like there was some issues there with that 55 car.
We get to see how pit strategy is going to work out.
Let's go take a look here as we're following the replay. Cole Eastman into turn number 5. The rear end's going to come around on him, and it's just going to be too much. He's going to go for a spin, slamming on the brakes to avoid major contact with that inside wall, and he's going to go right to pit road as a result. So yeah, like you said, back to take a look. Jeremy Crandall going to stay out with D.W. Jones behind him. Blake Barney still showing in third, but he's going to come down pit road. Looks like he's going to take 4 tires. And we're pretty much at the halfway point of tonight's race. And look at that battle off of pit road as Blake Barney, Kalen Moeller were fighting hard for position. Thomas Axum just looked kind of casual coming out of pits.
Yeah, well, this is going to be interesting because now we get to see for the first time tonight Blake Barney's going to be ahead of Thomas Axum, and Axum's now going to be stuck back in a little bit of traffic there in his number 13 machine. I believe a couple of cars here, I believe 3. Mark LaRoche, D.W. Jones, and Jeremy Crandall have stayed out on the racetrack, so Axum's going to be buried back in about that 5th or 6th position.
And definitely a breath of fresh air here for the 14 car, like you said, being in front of Thomas Axum. Pressure now turns tides, and the 13 car going to have to work his way around. Definitely give it up to his racecraft here tonight, working that 5th turn where everybody's been having the issues. Some guys getting loose. We've seen a couple spin-outs already out of that 5th turn. Thomas Axum getting off that gas, using just enough of brake to be able to go through that turn. It looks like at the solid midpoint on the track, not really too low, not really too high, just right there in the middle. And take a look at that. It looks like Thomas Axum now maybe starting. We'll have to see how the lineup, the race control gets the lineup figured out, but he might actually be right behind Blake Barney. So the lights come off the pace car, and Axum is going to be to the outside. This is a little bit different for him tonight. He's been used to running that inside line, but he has had the momentum to get around. I guess it's going to come down to what happens between Crandall and Jones in front of him, as the pace car now works its way towards the pits. Into turn number 5, these guys are going to head. Dan LaFoe, or excuse me, Jeremy Crandall, the 73 car, is going to have the pace, and he looks to be ahead of Jones already into the 5th turn.
Green flag, green flag.
There's the green flag. We're back to the race. And let's see what happens between Barney and Axum as we work their way into turns 1 and 2.
Barney's really working on the back end of Crandall as D.W. Jones is to the advantage of his number 17 machine.
And as they work their way into the 5th turn, this is the defining turn. Barney tagging a little bit of Crandall's quarter panel as they came out. 3 wide action into turn number 1. And Blake Barney gets around, still behind Thomas Axum. Axum looking to the inside of D.W. Jones as the Batmobile works its way high into turn number 5. And Barney definitely lets Axum know he's there. Some bumper-to-bumper contact into turn number 5. And now to the inside, Barney of Jones as they work their way through turns 3 and 4. And Thomas Axum back to the race lead.
Barney is certainly wasting no time, as we saw him get in the back end a lap previous. He certainly wants to let Thomas Axum know that he wants that lead, he wants that top position, and I think this is the first time we're really going to get to see a chance here of the 2 head-to-head.
And right behind him, though, the 77 of Ryan Lang is going to get turned a little bit loose by Kalen Moeller, who's going to run that inside line. D.W. Jones still to the outside as they continue to battle side by side out of turn number 2. And take a look at Thomas Axum heading towards turn number 5 now. Blake Barney just about 2 car lengths behind the 13. Into the front stretch they go. And Barney trying to do what he can to catch this 13 car. but Thomas Axum definitely has the solid line here tonight.
The two's lap times have been almost identical this entire race. Barney's just a tad bit faster right now. And it'll be interesting to see as we get some laps on these tires who's going to be able to have the long run speed and who has the setup for the long run rather than just these short runs that we've seen.
And these two look like they are starting to run away with it as we follow now Ryan Lang. Taking a look at his driver information, 2.3 seconds behind Axum. And that just shows you the two's both Barney and Axum's racecraft, that they are working this track. They were set up to come here and race at Concord tonight. And we see Thomas Axum now into turn number 5, still ahead of the 14 car as he comes across the start-finish line into lap number 62.
Nice head-to-head battle here, Thomas Axum and Blake Barney. And, you know, not only is this just for the win tonight or the top spot right now, but those championship standings has to be in the back of both of these minds of both of these drivers, certainly being tied with 2 wins apiece and tied atop the standings. So a lot of bragging rights and also in the championship standings. So this battle has got a lot of things going into it, and it's not just for the lead right now.
And as they head into lap 64, take a look at your top 5 as we follow the 13 of Axum, still holding off the 14 of Barney. So it is Axum, Barney, Lang, Muller, and Crandall, your top 5 here in lap number 64. Kalen Muller into turn number 5. Still off the pace. We see a nice single file gap going, but it looks like Crandall and LaFoe are going to have a nice little battle as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Crandall ahead of LaFoe. LaFoe trying to get up, was side by side at one point, has fallen back just a little bit.
Yeah, Dan LaFoe earlier in this race appeared to have a strong car. Saw him get tagged around a little bit earlier, but since then has rebounded nicely and is looking to maintain a top 5 position. That's what he's battling for right now. Jeremy Crandall has the 5th position, and Dan LaFoe probably wants it.
And as we follow Thomas Axum back up at the race lead, has pulled away almost to about a 7/10 to 8/10 of a second lead over the 14 of Blake Barney. Now into turn number 5, heading towards lap number 68. The green flag runs have come, and it is starting to show that this 13 car is starting to outperform the 14 of Barney. If you're Barney at this point, do you hope for a caution, or do you just wait on the 13 to hopefully slip up, because he's looking dynamite here tonight at Concord?
I think you should go ahead and just continue to run your race. I think most of this is out of Blake Barney's control right now. I think that his car certainly is set up for the short run. We sold out by him setting the fastest time, and you know, he just got moved to the rear and had to come from the rear a lot. But if he could get a restart maybe alongside Thomas Axum, it could be a different story, especially when they're going for the lead. But now he's got a little bit of pressure coming from that backside.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan Lang, the 77 car, on his bumper and closing as we look at the 14 car heading into turn number 5 towards the front stretch. Less than 30 laps now remain in the race, and Blake Barney looks like he's going to have some cars getting closer and closer as Ryan Lang, with every lap, has just closed the distance. He's just under a half a second now as Barney comes out of turn number 5 into lap number 72. We take a look at the information, just about 0.4 of a second and now 0.3 of a second behind the 14 of Barney. So at this point, Marshall, we talk about Blake Barney and his rallying back from the back of the field a couple of times to be beside Thomas Axum, to battle with Thomas Axum. Luckily now he's starting to see that Axum has some lap traffic ahead, having the pressure with Ryan Lang behind him. What do you think's going through that 14 car's mind?
Again, just keeping that consistent pace. I mean, he can't really do anything now except maintain where he's at. He certainly doesn't want to lose any more spots. That wouldn't be beneficial for him. You can hope for a caution. He's about a second behind Thomas Axum right now. But a big picture has to be for him: don't overdrive the car. Don't put it in the wall. Don't slip up and lose grip. Just keep your line, and you know, if you can't get up there and catch him, just hold on to that second position. And now it seems like we're really about to have a battle here, as that 14 has pressure all behind him from Ryan Lang.
And Lang looks to the inside, coming into turns 3 and 4. They're going to be side by side, and Lang is going to take over the second position slot, heading into turn number 5. And wow, that has just made things a little more dramatic here in the later quarter of the race as we're now in lap number 76. Less than 25 laps to go. The 77 has taken the second position away from the 14 of Blake Barney, and it definitely adds drama to it as Ryan Lang.
All right, man, caution is out.
Oh, and here we go, right here, Marshall. If you couldn't have any more drama, any more excitement tonight, the yellow flag coming out at a pivotal time when it looks like it was starting to be the downfall of Blake Barney.
Yeah, it appears that we're going to get to this one again. Mark LaRoche has spun around on that front straightaway in his number 38 machine. He's 2 laps down right now, so not the best of days for that number 38 machine.
Yeah, as we go back and take a look at the replay, coming across the start-finish line 1 lap prior. As again, seeing the battle, they had just passed the 38 car, both Ryan Lang. Lang has taken over the second position slot. He'll start to the outside of Thomas Axum. And as we follow the 38 car heading into turn number 5, gets way loose. Rear end comes around, and he's not going to make contact with that inside wall until he moves forward just a little bit, so not actually sliding into it as we've seen a couple other drivers do here tonight. And he'll get turned around, and Thomas Axum will swing on by. So the pivotal moment here for Blake Barney, to say the least, as this 14 car looks like everybody's going to come down pit road at this point to get a little bit of fuel, maybe possibly some tire changes.
Yeah, I believe that this is going to be an interesting finish for sure. Ryan Lang's 77 machine has remained on the racetrack.
He definitely must feel that he has got what it takes to stay out here as we watch him go by. He does not go into the pits, folks. We're going to see if we could possibly get. Not sure we're going to be able to. So he is going to stay out. This is going to be interesting. Let's see if we can get him on the line for you. Ryan Lang, this is Marshall Gable and Dustin Caldwell in the booth. Tell us, you're staying out there on the track. What's going through your mind at this point?
Well, the way it's been going, we'll get another caution at lap 90, and another caution again at lap 96. I just got to hold it off for a couple laps at a time. Definitely
optimistic thought on the race here tonight, but falling true to pretty much how the race summary has been going as we take a look on the screen. So is there any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give while you had the lead of the race?
No, not really. Kind of getting sick of having to use my brakes to help slow other people down, but that's racing. That's how it goes. So far, it hasn't bit me in the butt yet, so we'll see how it happens.
All right. Well, best of luck to you in the laps to come.
Thank you.
All right. There is your race summary, and it looks like the lights have come off the pace car. 4 lead changes now, 7 total cautions here in 81 laps of this race. And Axum is going to be in a prime position to the outside. We've seen him be able to work that outside groove here, Marshall. We'll have to see what happens here when we come back green as they're making their way into turns 3 and 4. Blake Barney to the inside of Jeremy Crandall. Pace car into the pits. We are ready to get back green on lap number 83 as Lang to the inside of Axum has the pace. Into the front stretch, the green flag flies. We're back to the race, lap 83, and there goes the 13 of Axum.
Wow, that was an incredible restart by him. I'm almost surprised that he didn't call for jumping, and he was actually past that 77 car at the start-finish line.
I didn't actually see if he was able to take tires or if he just took some fuel there in that last pit stop. But now Blake Barney finds himself to the inside of Lang, and he may have second position on lockdown here coming out of lap 84.
I feel like that was a really pivotal start for Blake Barney with Axum being on that high side. He could have slotted himself below, but just such a strong start by that 13 car. I'm not too sure how he's able to rock it off like that every single time. It's very impressive.
And talking about setup for the short run, this is definitely one thing we're seeing here tonight is Blake Barney definitely needs to have the momentum to catch up with Thomas Axum as he comes out of turn number 5. Looking to regain about 7/10, almost 8/10 of a second behind the 13 car. Now working through 3 and 4. Here comes Ryan Lang, though, on the back bumper yet again of Blake Barney.
Yeah, Blake Barney was able to hold off for a little bit, but Ryan Lang catching right back up as we're closing in on the final 10 laps of this race. About 13 to go. Time's running out for these two behind Thomas Axum.
And Axum definitely in cruise control mode as he has almost a second lead. Here he comes across the start-finish line, lap 88. And it looks like 9/10 of a second now over the 14, and Barney's got to watch out. That 77 car of Brian Lang wants second position in a hurry.
Yes, certainly. These top four right now, Axum, Barney, Lang, and Callum Moeller are all the top four in point standings as well, so not too much is going to change at this point. Ryan Lang trying to make something happen to gain a little bit of the standings. Blake Barney.
And it looks like Barney out of turn number 5 still holds on to second position, but he's got a little bit loose. That opens the doorway up for the 77 of Lang. Lang is definitely creeping to the inside of Barney. Through turns 3 and 4, here comes Ryan Lang, lap number 90, folks. Less than 10 laps to go when Axum crosses the start-finish line and still getting loose. The 14 of Barney yet again. And it looks like Ryan Lang, though, here, Marshall, looks like he is playing a little conservative, not really shooting the gap here with about 10 laps to go. Do you think he's going to make the move here in the next couple of laps?
I think right now he's just weighing out his options. He knows that Barney's been getting loose, as you see it there again, and he's going to try to utilize that inside now. And his number 77 machine trying to work past Blake Barney for that second position. Ryan Lang on the bottom, Blake Barney on the outside as they go down into those final 2 corners here.
Oh, and a nice block from Barney as we get down with about 8 laps to go, trying to hold on to the position. And some contact to the wall from a few drivers back there. Looked like it might have been Kalen Moore or Dan LaFoe getting some contact coming out of turn number 5. And here comes the 77 of Ryan Lang now to the inside of Blake Barney. The battle for second position. And it looks like the high side's going to have that one as Blake Barney still holds on to second position now. As Ryan Lang's going to swing wide, turns 3 and 4. That's going to open up a gap and a little bit of breathing room here for Blake Barney.
Well, I know it's exciting for us to watch these two battle, but I know it's even probably more exciting for Thomas Axum as he's now extended his lead to almost 2 seconds over Blake Barney and Ryan Lang. He's got to be loving seeing these guys in his rearview mirror as he's closing in on 5 laps remaining.
And as he now crosses that start-finish line, 5 laps
All
to
right, man,
go.
caution is out. Caution
And I
is
tell
out.
you what, this is going to make things a little bit interesting. Wow, D.W. Jones, heavy smoke coming out of the back of that number 17 Batmobile machine working its way down pits. Let's go take a look at the replay. And LaFoe behind Jones, beat to the outside as they head into turn number 5. Let's see what happens here as we follow D.W. Jones, and he's just going to get clipped coming out of turn number 2 from Dan LaFoe, and that puts some heavy damage there. No front end remaining on that 17 car, and he's going to have to limp it back down pit road. Tough break here late in the race. And
not sure if we're even going to get to restart this one, to be honest.
That's what I was going to say. As we take a look, Thomas Axum may have been able to stay out the front long enough. Would love to see a 1-lap shootout between Barney and Axum, as they are now going to be side by side. With about 5 laps to go is when the caution flag had come out, but it may be we're going to finish this one under the yellow.
Yeah, well, certainly Thomas Axum definitely deserved this one, leading the most laps by far. I really would have liked to see Blake Barney be able to get up there and get a charge to him, maybe from that front row, but just too many cautions and too much slow pace, and Thomas Axum is about to cruise to his 3rd win. We saw him earlier this season at South Boston and Phoenix, en route to those performances and wins, and now adding Concord to that list. 3 very unique tracks, I'd say.
Definitely will help out his points battle with Blake Barney, and definitely a disappointing night for that 14 cars. You see exchanging possibly a little bit of words there with that 13 car as they come across to the white flag. And yeah, Barney, tough break there for that 14 car. He was battling really hard. I think he was giving a little congratulatory bump here, letting Axum know good job tonight, really had the line. Just a tough defeat here. Given it, if you wanted to finish, being in Blake Barney's position tonight, if you wanted to finish, you definitely wanted to be ahead of the guy, but if at the worst, you wanted to be right behind him, and that's where it's going to happen here at Concord.
Yeah, I certainly don't think he complained. Obviously, probably would have liked to have gotten a chance there considering he was the fastest qualifier. But either way, Thomas Axum is going to be victorious here in round 7 for the Short Track Showdown Street Stock Series.
And as we follow the 13th car, doing a little bit of a victory lap here as he makes his way towards turn number 5. Ryan Lang tonight actually finishes in 3rd position. Can't take anything away from that car as he fought hard with Blake Barney for that 2nd position slot. Just happened to be right behind him when the yellow flag come out. As we now see the 13th car take an additional lap. This is his victory lap. He's going to work his way on the high side here, just relishing the moment of the good hard-fought battle he had here tonight. Had the lucky start up front. Pole position here. Next week, though, he will be starting at the tail. Fortunately, like Barney had to do, Barney had to start at the tail. Barney now showing off a little bit into turn number 5, but here comes Thomas Axum, your race winner, into the front stretch. See if the New England driver got some burnout for us here. And it looks like he's just going to pull up alongside of Ryan Lang. So we're going to go get some driver interviews for you folks. 100 laps of racing here tonight. Definitely was a good race. So looks like we're going to be joined now by the 77 of Ryan Lang coming in 3rd position here tonight. You had a good battle, Ryan. Tell us a little bit about your battle there with Blake Barney for 2nd position while on. With about 10 laps to go, you guys are battling pretty hard. You were able to get around him a couple times. Pretty much looked like you were just waiting for him to get loose out of turn number 5 to open up that doorway, and you were able to take 2nd position at one point.
Yeah, I'm kind of wishing I would have taken tires there with 20 to go instead of staying out. But he ran well. I knew I had to sit there and stay in his mirror in order to push him. I know he was real loose. And like you said, I was hoping for him to make a mistake and I could dive underneath him coming off 3 there. But he did a good job hanging on to it. It was a good run. I could get beside him. I just couldn't pass him. Kind of consequences of having 50-lap old tires versus new tires.
Well, still, though, taking nothing away, man. You held on to it. You're able to finish 3rd tonight here in Concord. Going to help your advancement up there in the series points, as we talked about Michael Rafferty not being here tonight. So definitely will help your cause. But next week we go into Lanier for this is going to be the Digital Forge 125 next week. Tell us, what can we expect from that 77 car?
That's a good question. I've kind of got a love-hate relationship with that track. I either love it or I hate it. Last time I ran street stocks there, I loved it. So we'll see what we got next week.
All right, any additional thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give tonight?
Thanks for you for enduring all the cautions and broadcasting the race for us, and Tad and Skip for putting this on.
All right. Well, congratulations to your 3rd place finish here tonight, Ryan. We'll see you next week at Lanier.
10-4, thank you.
All right. We're going to go talk with the guy battled hard tonight through the field, had to start at the tail of the field due to his win last week there at Thompson. And Blake, tonight you started at the back of the field. You worked your way up early on to the front. Just a hard-fought battle, had a couple of cautions, got relegated back to the back once again. Kind of like the bad kid in the classroom, we're going to call it. You know, you do good here, but you have a little bit of mistakes. You find yourself in the corner. You work your way back out. Tonight you finished 2nd. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the race.
The race was good. Just kind of ran out of time and just really didn't have the car that some of them guys had. It was really hard trying to get back through the field. A lot of things I didn't really try to do them. I was trying to get to the front fast, but it was just hard. I was fast, a lot faster than some of those guys, so I was just trying not to run into them, and it was hard because by the time I would try to get up to Thomas Axum, it was hard. He was already pulled away.
Marshall, do you have any questions for Blake?
Yeah, Blake, what do you feel like, obviously having 2 wins this season and being a very competitive battle with Thomas for that top spot in the championship standings. Tonight at Concord, let's just talk about that. What did you feel like you missed from a setup standpoint that you couldn't necessarily, what do you feel like you're going to have to adjust going to Lanier next week to really be able to get up there and be able to contend with Thomas going forward?
I think it was less setup and more driver. I'm not very good at this track. Thomas is really good. I did miss the setup a little bit. I had a better car short run, but long run my tires just kind of went away, and he just pulled away from me, and I just really didn't have the. I wasn't up there with him, so I couldn't really give him a chance to just try to get by him. I couldn't really race him, so I was always in the back trying to come to the front.
Well, it was definitely a good, hard-fought battle here tonight, Blake. Congratulations on your runner-up finish. If you needed to finish anywhere, if you ended up behind Thomas Axum, you needed to be right behind him to stay competitive with that points battle. So definitely a hard-fought battle here tonight for you. Congratulations, though. Came just one position where you probably would have liked to have been tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week at Lanier. Is there any additional thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give for your runner-up finish here at Concord?
I just have to give a thanks to Skip Lynn, you, and Ted Grow for putting this league on. I have a lot of fun every week. Good battle with Thomas Axum. It's been fun all season.
All right. Well, looks like next week you definitely will have to bring it hard as Thomas Axum take the victory here tonight. We'll look to start at the back of the field. We'll look to see what that 14 car's got next week at Lanier.
Yep, thank you.
All right, let's get the winner in here now, the number 13 of Thomas Axum. Starting on the pole here at Concord, it looks like it's going to be a flip-flop battle between you and Blake Barney. And Blake Barney, with the last week's win, had to start at the back of the field this week. Thomas, you were on the pole tonight and definitely on fire, had that solid line working your way through. Turn number 5 got a lot of drivers tonight, didn't seem to affect you. Tell us about your thoughts here at Concord.
Going into this track, I felt real confident. I'd say it's more of a driver's track than just setup, but the setup definitely does come in effect. But car was great. Just so you don't overdrive the corners, hit your marks, and just be consistent. And I was real fast tonight also.
How rewarding is it for you, Thomas, knowing that now you definitely have secured the points lead as far as over Blake by finishing one spot above him? But how does this help the momentum and the confidence that you carry into these last couple of races from a team standpoint, but also from a driver standpoint? I know that this certainly has to be energizing, especially being able to dominate and lead the most laps like you did.
It's great. It's great knowing I have points lead and I have kind of a cushion. It's not going to be much, but it's good knowing that if I ever choke in qualifying or he gets a pole, but having to come from the back next week shouldn't be that big of a problem at all. Just let it sort everything out and just pick everybody off one by one and eventually get to the front.
We'll have to see if you have what it takes next week, as you got to take that Tom Axum trucking machine all the way from the back to the front. So it was definitely a great race here for you tonight, Thomas. Definitely came prepared, had the line, ran really well, was able to come ahead at the lap that mattered the most. Though it was under yellow here tonight, congratulations on your victory. Do you have any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Digital Forge Broadcasting, you up in the booth. Marshall Gabel. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but him being there tonight. Tom Axum Trucking, Over the Top Paints, John Hendrick. Check him out at Over the Top Paints. And Short Track National Showdown, Ted and Skip. They do great, and it's an awesome league, and definitely check them out.
All right. Well, congratulations again, Thomas. We'll see you next week at Lanier.
All righty, see you there.
Definitely a great night of racing here tonight, Marshall. Though a little heavy on the cautions when we take a look at the final summary. Total of 5 lead changes in the 100-lap event here at Concord. 9 total cautions. Just a really tough event. Let's take a look at the top 10 here real quick. Thomas Axum, Blake Barney, Ryan Lane, Caleb Moeller, Dan LaFoe, your top 5. Jeremy Crandall, Mark LaRoche, D.W. Jones, Wesley Utt, Cole Eastman rounding out the top 10. And you get to be up here in the booth with me tonight, Marshall. Tell us if you have any final closing thoughts on what you saw here tonight.
Well, I certainly think that we saw a lot out of Thomas Axum. I think that he's really showing us that this championship is his, and if you're going to have to you steal it from him, then you're going to have to go up there and beat him, simply put. Blake Barney certainly has to show me a little bit more patience going forward. I think that the early stage of this race sort of messed up him a little bit, and I think going forward he has to make sure that he can stay consistent throughout the entire course of the race. That way he doesn't set himself back like he did. But like you mentioned, a great night of racing. I think that going forward into Lanier, we just have more great racing in store.
Definitely will have that in store. Appreciate you joining me here tonight in the booth, Marshall. And just real quick, while we got you, tell us, I guess you got a special role that you're doing for the Short Track National Showdown Street Stock Series.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to this opportunity that Skip Lynn and Ted have given me. I'm coming aboard right now as the public relations specialist, so handling all the social media needs, and I guess joining you up here in the booth is going to be a little bit of part of that, and you know, just having fun with the guys and getting invested into a new league. Me myself, I'll be racing in the SK Modified League, which starts tomorrow night at Five Flag Speedway, so I look forward to that. But as for the street stocks, just right now all the race recaps. For the past few seasons I've written for RaceChaserOnline.com, so we're gonna have all the race recaps, including tonight's, up on RaceChaserOnline.com. But head over to the Short Track National Showdown Facebook page and certainly give it a like, because that's where all the articles and all the updates throughout the week on the point standings and all that will be posted. But I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to climb up here in the booth with you and behind the mic. Certainly had some fun tonight, and hopefully look forward to doing it again sometime.
Definitely, and appreciate you joining me here tonight in the booth, Marshall, and we will look forward to seeing you next week, as a great battle is going to happen with Thomas Axe and Blake Barney. The rivalry still continues heading into Lanier, into race number 8. As we take a look now in the top 10 there on your screen, we have shown it to you. A couple other drivers here tonight. George Bark doing a little bit of spotting action. Stephen Harrison helping out in the race control booth. Matthew Hampton as well, doing a little bit of autograph work down there on pit road. What a night of racing. The Street Stock Series Short Track National Showdown League battling out 100 laps here at Concord. Next week take on Lanier for, it looks like it's going to be around the same amount, 100 laps. We'll have to see how that will play out between Thomas Axum and Blake Barney, as that rivalry will continue into next week. Coming up tomorrow night, the Anarchy Motorsports Series back in action as their series kicks off. The Children's Dream Racer Gen 6 Cup Series kicks it off at Daytona. Coming up Wednesday, the Modified Madness Tour Championship Racing Association in action as 2 different classes of modifieds continue to roar around these short tracks. Thursday night, we continue to have off. We have something in the works. Friday night, the Loose Lug Nuts Racing League Street Stock Series, the Bump and Run Street Stock Series, will be back in action at 10 p.m. Eastern. That is going to do it for us here tonight. Again, special shout out to Marshall Cable joining me up here in the booth. Skip Lynn, Ted Crow. For the Short Track National Showdown Series, I'm Dustin Caldwell with the Digital Forge Broadcasting Network saying thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.